Hey, yo, let me talk to you. When I look and I see a lot of comments on YouTube, I see a lot of non Christians that want to comment on Christianity. And I talk to a lot of unchristian people. And one of the tropes, one of the things that they say that they have in common is I used to be a Christian. I had a Christian upbringing. If you understand Christianity, if you understand the Bible, this shows that most people have no idea who Jesus Christ is. You cannot unknow somebody. Can you go from knowing your mom for 10 years and then one day just unknow her? Can you do that? What about your best friends? Even if you've known them for a year or less, can you go from knowing them to unknowing them? Even if you've become unfriends with them, can you unknow them? Here's the problem with a lot of people with Christianity. They say these things to try to give some validity to the fact of, yeah, I know just as much as you do. I was brought up in the church. I read the Bible all the time. I just choose not to believe it. It doesn't work like that. Let me explain something to you. Once you know Jesus Christ, he changes your life to a new creature. This is the only thing I can compare it to. Some people know what I do for a living, and what you do when you go into a somewhere that's an unknown, right? One of the scariest things is being in a dark room and not seeing anything, and then your eyes adjust and you see that somebody had been standing there the whole time. That is one of the scariest feelings you can have, because that person can see you, but you can't see them. You come to this realization, oh, snap. Oh, my goodness. You ever seen in a scary movie when the evil bad guy is standing in the corner and you just now notice it? That's what it's like coming to Christ. You come to know him and you realize, I did not see that. Oh, my goodness. It's this feeling, overwhelming feeling of this thing that had been here this whole time. I'm just now realizing that there is this massive amount of truth here. Something that could have damaged me. Something that I did not see. Now I see. So when unchristians compare themselves like, I grew up in the church. Okay, so what? So what? That means nothing. You can read the Bible and not understand it. There's plenty of atheists out there who read the Bible and still are confused about Genesis. Still, the first book, they still say vain things. Oh, well, where did Adam and Eve, where did they have children? How did they have children and their children have children? They still don't understand the basics that even the beginners of Christians understand. Now, I'm not opposed to answering their questions, but what I'm saying is that it shows that people can claim that they understand the Bible. They can claim that they grew up in the church and they knew Jesus Christ. You didn't know him. One of the scariest verses in the Bible says that many in the last days before the judgment of God will come to me and say, Lord, Lord, haven't I cast out demons in your name? Haven't I prophesied in your name? And Jesus will say, what? Depart from me. I never knew you. They thought they knew God, but they didn't. When you know God and when you have a relationship with him, you cannot unknow him. Ask any Christian. If a Christian is saying, yeah, I sometimes feel around and see if I know God, I pray and I don't know if he hears me. That is not the Christian philosophy. When I had my confrontation with God from the first time, I broke down in tears because it was traumatizing, because I did not realize, even at 7 years old, that such a great power existed. And do you know what's crazy about the world now? This is something you'll see these talk shows, these podcasts like Joe Rogan. And he will talk about his spiritual experience with DMT. He will talk about mushrooms and shrooms and all. I don't know what type of drugs he be taking, but he's big on that like psychedelic stuff and all that. Look, and people will not doubt that he had some spiritual experience when he took those drugs. I don't even doubt it. I don't think he knows what he's messing with. But I'm gonna tell you this. I don't doubt that he had some spiritual experience or that he saw something that was real when he took those drugs. And the people who take those drugs will tell you straight up, this is real. Now, what I'll say is that plenty of people will look at Christianity and say, oh, these people are crazy. You didn't have that experience. You didn't talk to God, really. You're just pretending. It's an imaginary friend in the sky, blah, blah, blah. But they'll believe Joe Rogan about some shrooms. I'm telling you, when I had my confrontation with Jesus Christ, when he told me that your life belongs to me, and you no longer can do what you want to do for the rest of your life. And I gave him that authority because I recognize him as God over my life. That was a life-changing experience. It was undeniable. And from that day forward, I could no longer deny the power of Jesus Christ. And people can deny you all they want, but then they'll sit up here and believe that what month you born in and where the stars align somehow has to do with your future. But then when I tell them I had a revelation with Jesus Christ, that he took my life and changed me from an old man to a new man, that I no longer have the same desire to sin that I used to, that every time that I sin, now I have this overwhelming feeling from God and his guilt. They don't want to believe it. And the reason why they don't believe it is not simply because they don't see the facts of it in my life, because people who know me know that I live differently. That's not the reason. The reason they don't want to believe Jesus Christ is because they don't want to acknowledge that there is a God that has value, and that owns their life. There's a God that has a say over everyone's life. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with his rules. But if he is God and he created you, you no longer own your own life. He owns your life. People don't like that. The Satanic Bible, the verse, we're going to be talking about this later on this week. The main John 3:16 in the Satanic Bible is do what thou wilt. What is the world telling you? It ain't my life. He could do what he want to do. It's his life. Let him do what he want to do. Whatever makes you happy. Right? Where do you think that come from? The reality is this. It's not about making you happy. It's about pleasing God, finding your joy, and through finding his will in your life. And if you don't find God's will in your life, you won't be truly happy. See all these people with millionaires killing themselves? See all these people with millions? All these people with fame? All these people with clout? And they're not happy? That should teach you something. Money doesn't make you happy. Fame don't make you happy. Sex don't make you happy. You can have all those things. And then when you get to the top and you see how lonely it is, how desperate these people are trying to achieve this happiness, this joy, whether it's taking drugs or sex or doing all types of wild stuff. We're going to talk more about that this week too. It does not achieve happiness. So all that to say this, you cannot know Jesus Christ and it does not change your life. You cannot go from knowing Jesus to unknowing him.